In chapter 9, you talk about love with no strings attached, about how to love the right way. Why is this so important and how do you do it?
When you love the right way, what you are really saying is, I am selfless instead of selfish. When I'm selfless, I'm looking to help someone who can do nothing for me. When I'm selfless and truly loving the person that is in front of me or the person that I'm looking to help, it's not about what I can get on the back end, but it is about when I truly help you, I become a better human being. And so with no strings attached, here's what the research says according to Emory University. When you help someone from a place of kindness or love or cherishing, the reward centers in our brain begin to light up almost as if we have been on the receiving end of the person we just helped. And Emory University calls it the helper's high. So when I really understand how to love, right, I think the first thing we begin to approach any situation and say, how do I inject love in my words, in my tone, in my text, in my email? How do I begin to look for a problem that may be happening in the relationship or in a business? And how do I come from a place of love? Love desires to give at the expense of self. That's what Dr. Edwin Lewis Cole taught 30 years ago. When I come from a place of love, how do I look this woman in the eye and say, you know what? I love her so much that I'm willing to take a bullet for her. I'm willing to lay down my life because love is not what it says, it's what it does. One of the things I discovered with Jody when we talk about love, love is paying attention to the little things of opening her car door, the little things of writing a handwritten note, the little things of bringing home her favorite food to eat. It's the little things. That's love. Love is not this big old thing where there's a billboard, on the side of the highway. I love you. No, love is the whisper in the midst of a difficult time that says, I'm right here. And even if it's your presence and you haven't said a word, that's love. So it's looking for that opportunity to serve early and often, not because you have to, but because you want to.
When did you first start to show this kind of love? And what was maybe a first step that you took to be able to, you became aware of it and decided to really start loving in this way?
Well, what I realized is that for a long time, I never told my children that I loved them, Daniel and Madison, when they were growing up. And their mother said to me, you may want to do something about that. And what I recognized, my father never said it to me. So I recognized it when we first had Daniel and Madison, and I talked to my dad, and he said, I put food on the table, I put clothes on your back, I put a shelter over your head. That was my way of saying that I loved you. But I said, Dad, you never said it. And what I realized, as he taught me, you cannot give what you don't receive. You cannot be who you've not become. And it's difficult to do what hasn't been done for you. Yeah. So when I had that, what some of my friends call situational awareness of where I was, the conversation with the mother of my children, I said, wait a minute, that's what happened in my history. And my father did say, I love you, I believe in you. Then I said to Daniel and Madison, I love you and I believe in you. And I tell them all the time, because I don't ever want them to have an emotional deficit of never hearing that I love you. But once again, love is not what it says, it's what it does. So the doing of love is in that communication. And our children, Daniel and Madison is different. Chelsea and Ashley are different. So it's really just understanding, how do I show up and be in that moment to love them where they are.
Awesome. In chapter 10, you talk about that love, that spark, that excitement. It's not really gone. It's just hidden under life's burdens. Can you tell us something about that?
Wow. So many times couples, they hit a pocket of turbulence where they're about to nosedive. And I would say, what would it be like to go back to day one? The first day when you first connected, what spoke to you? The second thing is I have kept the cards that Jody has given me. Aww. And when we have moments, because we have intense times of fellowship, where I have a need to be right. And she may say something that sets me off. And I'm like, I can do bad by myself. I never verbalize it, right? It's in my head. But then I go back to the card to read where she wrote that I love you and you are my forever. So for those who've hit that pocket of turbulence, what would it be like to go back to those cards that you shared with each others during, special events? I think the third thing is to find a way to rekindle what you do have. Go for a walk, write a note, send a text, call in the middle of the day, send flowers, not because you're in trouble, but because you're just thinking about them. And it's putting one foot in front of the other to say, what can we focus on that's right about where we are instead of what's wrong with where we are?
That's beautiful. I was just reading, and one of the things that really resonated with me is that living in the gap or living in the game. So with the person you love, if you measure them against your ideal, then they're always going to be in the gap. Nobody's ever perfect. But if you measure them against, their starting point, and you see how they've grown and how you are together, then you're always going to be in the game. You're always going to be loving that person.
That's good. Wow.
And
So
we tend
good.
to do that a lot with ourselves too.
Sure.
If we're measuring ourselves in that way, then we tend to do that to other people. So.
Yes.
Yeah. So in chapter 11, you talk about your wife Jody and how you met in online dating. And I want to know, what was it like for you? Were you afraid to love again? What was that like?
I was totally afraid to love again because I had made so many mistakes. I had unintentionally hurt previous individuals that I was dating. And I carried that with me, and I was bringing that into the relationship with Jody, and I put it in the book, so this is not a secret. I actually broke up with her after a few weeks of dating her because I didn't think that it was too good to be true, right? That was the first thing. I think the second thing is I was afraid that I was going to fail again. The third thing, I had some things I needed to deal with from my previous divorce that I needed to work on and really settle. And I was afraid to bring that into a new relationship that was heading towards the altar, right? So yes, I absolutely was. And I ended up realizing that she was the one that I didn't want to let get away. So I had a conversation with me, myself, and I said, my brother, you need to get it together.
Good thing you did.
I'm sure. She became my suitable mate.
Oh, I love that. How romantic.
Yeah, but I think it was being honest with myself, then with her, to say I'm scared. And that doesn't mean I'm less masculine. It means that I am open to say, I'm putting myself out here. Are we going to be okay? I believe we are going to be okay. I just need you to walk this out with me. And I think I had this start and stop, and I needed to break that and just own it and say, let's figure it out.
And you did.
Mm-hmm.